everyone. Welcome to the Class E Podcast. I'm your host, Mary Sturgill. You know, this is the podcast that's brought to you through a partnership between the Hill Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and the Communication Studies Department here at Furman University. And today's episode is in our special series, Everyday Entrepreneurs, in which we talk to graduates of the Greenville Starts program. And here with me today is Jess Teruel, who basically is an old hat at this kind of stuff because she has her own YouTube show.
Oh, I would not say that, but thank you.
Well, we're so glad to have you on. So
thank you for having me.
I think, obviously, we're going to talk about all of your experience in your show, which, by the way, is so cute and
thank
so
you.
much fun to watch.
Thank you.
And I want you to kind of pass along some nuggets of information and things that you've learned to our viewers.
Sure,
Okay.
Of course.
So you graduated with a journalism degree from Bob Jones.
Yes.
And then how did you decide, I'm just going to go right into TV myself?
Well, it actually started before I graduated. So I had just finished junior year of college, and I was supposed to have an internship with a local news station.
Right.
But COVID hit.
Right. Yeah,
right.
I was say that's right.
2020.
Nobody did anything.
Yep. So they pulled me from that, and I thought, well, I have a camera, I have a mic, I'm very good at bombarding people. And I was like, why not just hit the streets, right? You know? So it almost was like a word on the street type of deal at first.
Yeah.
It didn't start as a Jess Teruel show. It was just like, how can I cover local Greenville events? So I started with, literally, I walked up and down Main Street with a mic and my friend, and I would say, how do you think Governor McMaster is handling the situation?
Right.
And then I got a whole range of that, and it got a lot of views, and I thought, okay, I could actually make this something.
Right.
I covered a Black Lives Matter protest. I covered the TD Saturday Market downtown Greenville, and then it eventually steamrolled into small businesses.
Yeah. So how often do you put out the show? Kind of tell us the format so we know we can look for you.
Yes, so the show goes out on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook on the Jess Teruel Show. You can also follow me at Jessica Joy Teruel, my personal page. I post some of them sometimes, but go to the main page, the Jess Teruel Show.
Right.
And I'll post some piece of content every week. So this week I posted a reel about how my computer caught on fire.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, that actually happened. So you can go watch that. But if it's not a reel, it's going to be a long form video. So about 2 to 3 minutes of the video.
So was it a swollen battery on your computer?
So I spilled water.
Oh, no.
I spilled water in my bag on the computer. And then I thought, well, I still need to be online. So I plugged it in and I typed away, and then I heard sizzling, no joke.
Oh my goodness.
And then,
so lucky you didn't get electrocuted.
I know. And then I saw smoke, and I thought, I was surprisingly calm. I'm not a calm person at all, but I was surprisingly calm in the situation. My mom comes running in the room, and she's like, your computer's on fire. And I thought, okay, now we cut the power sources.
Right.
So I made a reel about that. And yes, so it was
love
rough.
That. That's taking real life and making it into your art, really.
Exactly.
So what prompted you to go to Greenville Starts then? Because you have this TV show and you know, on YouTube, this YouTube channel show. So what prompted you to say, I'm an entrepreneur, this is an entrepreneurial venture, and I need to go to Greenville Starts?
So that was not my mindset at all,
Right.
Which you're thinking, why was she in the class? But I knew Brian Davis for several months before that, and we hit it off so well. I mean, we just really clicked, and I actually approached him about coming on to Greenville Starts kind of as a helper. Just kind of a sounding board, because I'm in marketing right now for my job.
Right.
And so I thought, well, if there's anything I can do to help, I'd love to, because I supported what he did. I loved it.
Yeah.
And the more I talked about the Jess Teruel show and other little businesses I'm doing, he said, why don't you just be a student?
Right, yeah.
And I thought, I'm not an entrepreneur. Like, that never really crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm journalism, and I'm going to go into TV, and now I'm in marketing. Like, I didn't think entrepreneurship was really in my future.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, it won't hurt.
Right.
So I took the class, and that is really when I realized, oh, I could actually make the show a business. And it had been a hobby up until the class, and then I thought, I could monetize this.
Yeah.
Maybe. Will people pay me to watch me? You know, we'll see, but...
Yeah. So I love that, because I don't think you're alone in that people are like, I just want to do this business. They don't think of themselves necessarily as an entrepreneur until someone says, hey, you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
And so I think many of our listeners and our viewers on YouTube will kind of connect with that.
Yeah.
I don't really get that yet, but they are.
I hope so, because in my head it's almost like I needed someone else to say, you are an entrepreneur, to be like, oh, you're right.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, maybe I am.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you mentioned other businesses too. What else are you doing?
So I started a group called Ladies Brunch Greenville.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I started that back in September. It's really not a business per se, although I'm thinking about making it one.
Yeah.
But I kept meeting women that around my age that were new to Greenville, and I'm a native to Greenville. So I would try to put myself in their shoes and think, okay, single girls just moved to Greenville. They know, no one.
Right. Yeah.
I just met them, which is great, but they need to meet each other.
Yeah.
And I had worked previously with Greenville 360 last summer, so I knew I had some resources I could actually get advertising, and I thought we need a restaurant and get the word out, and I thought women love brunch and alcohol, so let's get them together. And then it just formed. Our first one, I think we had about 12 people. It was at the Spatula, which used to be a little bakery in town, and now we have to cap it at 30 each time.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So let's talk monetizing, because this is a show for innovators and entrepreneurs, and you're such an innovator. I think just kind of following that, where it takes you.
Right.
And I think that's what some of us do. How does one go about monetizing a YouTube show or a brunch? What is your plan for that?
I ask myself that every day, and that's really what the class had me thinking. And I kept, honestly, throughout the whole class, I kept thinking, like, I don't think I should be here. I'm not selling a physical product. I'm selling you media, which is a lot more harder to monetize unless you're affiliated with a big name, like Hearst Television or whatever.
Right.
But I'm not that.
Yeah.
So that's been the tricky part, because I'm like, I don't really necessarily have the data to be completely transparent. I don't have the data right now to back up what value I know I can give them.
So in typical TV, just for our viewers who might not understand how this process works, but I'm sure many of you do, is that you have a viewership, right? And you take those numbers of that viewership and you monetize your commercial space, your airtime for commercials. And then the sales force goes out and sells that airtime, right? Or that's, for now, the space on your webpage, right? So the banner on your webpage, or places when people click on the stories and an ad comes up, those things are sold, right? So how do you do that for a startup?
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a little trial and error, and it still is, to be honest. I really want to be honest through this whole thing, because I don't have it figured out yet. I really don't. I took one marketing class in college, people. Like, I've that. Anyway, but what I did before is I would go to a business and say, hey, can I feature in my show for free? And then if you want to, take that video and feature it for yourself, then you pay for it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Well, yes, but no one did that. They were I think their mindset was, she's already featuring me on her show. Why would I feature her on my page to my audience that's already there?
To it and that kind of thing.
Right. I didn't, So that didn't work, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm going about this too casually. So I decided to send proposals, like fully branded, like Jess Teruel show, and I gave them a couple options. Like, I can give you a photo shoot as well, because I do that as well on the side. Yeah. You can just be on the episode for an X amount of money, and one did pick that up, and I charged very low, but I was like, it's at least money.
Right.
And of course, that's pretty much going back into the business, but I need the traction of people are actually paying for this.
Right.
Get on board or get out.
Well, and
Just
I will
kidding,
tell you,
I'm kidding.
You're either with me or not. I will tell you, that's what we see a lot of infomercials. That's exactly what they do. So you're not doing anything necessarily that would be different for people. But, if they want to, it's a different type of commercial, basically.
Right.
And so I think that format can work, but there's a lot of time that's required to sell that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So how does one balance that amount of time and putting those proposals together and sending them out to businesses and getting the FaceTime?
Right.
Because I think a lot of it will come when they meet you in person. It's easier to, I always tell my students this, it's easier to say no if I'm on the phone, right?
Exactly.
Or some other way, but if I'm face to face with you and I'm feeling your energy and I see it, right? It's a little bit more difficult.
Exactly.
And so, but you can't be everywhere.
That's the thing. And that's why, like, I have a full-time job, and this is really strictly on the side right now, but I do try to go in person almost every time and pitch them that way.
Right.
Because if they see me on a piece of paper, they're going to be like, who's this girl? Like, what? Her little YouTube channel, which is, fine, but I need them to see I'm serious about this.
Right.
I want to tell your story. It's not just about, yes, my personality's bombastic, sure. But the whole point is to tell the story of the business in a fun and entertaining way.
Right, right. And that's where your personality comes in.
Right.
And you have to have that type of personality to be able to pull that off.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've been through Greenville Starts. What were some of the things that you got from it in addition to realizing that you're an entrepreneur?
Yes. the realization, yes. So I did get connected with the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center, I believe. And I had a meeting with a man named Earl Gregorich. Wonderful man. He's incredible. And they have free business coaching because they're funded by the government.
Right.
So our taxes are paying for them. But he sat down with me and really helped me figure out, well, first of all, I need a plan.
Right.
Because it's really, like, up to this point, it's just been like, that would be fun to feature. Well, what about them? And I'm not great at putting it on paper. And so he really was like, Jess, before we do any planning, like, you need to have financial projections. And I'm like, well, I don't have those. Like, how do I get those? So the program really gave me a lot of good connections and just mentorships and resources that I never even knew Greenville had.
Right. I think that's a huge part of that program too, and you're not the only person who said that. Is the connections are invaluable.
Yes.
Even with just your cohorts and the other people in the group with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very true, and that actually. A sweet lady in the cohort, we connected at the graduation ceremony a couple weeks ago. We had like another ceremony, which was cute. She connected me with a local nonprofit in the area who I may be working with soon. And so it's just like this person connects you with this person, with this person. It's just crazy. And Greenville's just booming with entrepreneurship. And I think going into this, I keep expecting, to be honest, like to this day, I keep expecting someone to come along and be like, it's not actually going to happen. Just quit while you're ahead. But it hasn't.
And you may have somebody who does that, but as long as you believe in, and I think you would agree with this because you're this type of person, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah. Yes.
So.
Yes. My dad always tells me, he's like, Jess, you're such a go-getter. I'm like, thank you, but you got to go get it. It ain't going to come to you. You got to go get it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of entrepreneurs have the naysayers in their lives who say, it's not going to work.
Right.
But you just work until it does.
Right. And I'm not trying to say it's going to be sunshine and roses, and it hasn't been. It's been a lot of up and down, but it's just been really cool to see how Greenville has really unified around the entrepreneurs that are wanting to make a name for themselves. It's just incredible.
Right. I love that, and I love the role that the Hill Institute here at Furman is playing in that with Greenville Starts. And I'm telling you guys, those cohorts fill up.
Oh, yeah, like that.
Like that. So, and maybe this is a good time just to talk about that because we have a cohort that's starting in the fall. It's an 8-week program, as we said. You make all kinds of great connections, and you learn how to get funding, and you connect with the people who can help you take your business or your venture to the next level. So no matter where you are, if you're just starting out, like Jess who said, I have this little show, to people who already have their venture, the business is up and going, how do I take it to the next level, right? So the range of entrepreneurs in their entrepreneurial journey runs the gamut. So you have the great opportunity to sit in that class for 8 weeks with these people and learn from the people who have already done what you need to do still. And then, of course, help the people behind you who maybe are not as far as you are. And so you have that. And then you have the experts that we bring in as well to help you along the way. So that fall cohort has filled up, but the spring cohort, they're taking names for the spring cohort.
I believe it.
So all you have to do to get on there is to just Google Greenville Starts and Furman, and it's the first little link that pops up right there, and get your name on that list. And if you're not an entrepreneur, pass that information along to somebody who is, because it could really help their venture.
Absolutely.
Just any other advice that you would give to young entrepreneurs, because you are a young entrepreneur, who might be thinking, I tell my students this all the time, if you have an idea, start working on it now, right? So talk to those young entrepreneurs who are thinking, I'll do that when I get out of school, or I'll do that in the next few years, or whatever.
I would say you're never going to be fully ready. You really are not. And mentally, resource-wise, like, you just have to start. I had a Canon T7 and this crappy boom mic, and I took my fake foam mic from the museum. That's what I took out to the streets.
Oh my
and
gosh,
a couple older guys were like, is that even a real mic? I'm like, no, still need to talk though. But all that to say, like, if you have a passion for something, you're always going to regret if you don't try.
100%.
And that's the biggest thing is, like, every time I want to give up, I keep thinking, like, I will regret it if I just don't see this through. I want to see how far I can get with this.
Right.
This may always be a little side hustle, and that's okay, but it's what I love. And so I find a lot of fulfillment in that.
And you never know, I'll add this to that, you never know what that will lead you to.
Exactly.
Because somebody may see that and say, well, I want to hire her to do this. Or now I saw this episode, what she did with them. I wonder what she could do for my company. So you never know what it's going to lead you to.
You never know.
Jess, thank you so much for being on the show
Thank you.
today.
This was wonderful. Yeah, so fun.
I will tell you, Jess came up to me and I was in line for a beer at an event, and I was talking to my cousin, and you said, I recognize that voice because she listens to the podcast.
I do. I can vouch for this podcast is legit. Yeah. And I'm on it, so it's even better. I'm kidding.
No, it is. You absolutely made it better. So speaking of that, there's lots of ways for you to find us. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure that you subscribe so that you get every episode that comes out. And then, of course, we're on YouTube as well. We have our own YouTube show, too. And just follow the Class C Podcast, subscribe for YouTube, and you can watch the videos of us having our conversations as well. Again, Jess, thanks so much.
Thank you. The videos may help give context because I use my arms a lot. So
I do too, and people who watch the videos probably know that I do, and I move around a lot in my chair. So we're kind of animated, which we thought might be more interesting for some people who like to watch rather than listen. But we're there for all of you.
I love it.
All right, that does it for this episode of the Class C Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Mary Sturgill. Remember, this is the podcast that is brought to you through the partnership between the Hill Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and the Communication Studies Department here at Furman University. This show is produced by students here at Furman who are comm majors. And this current episode is produced by Kayla Patterson and Eliza Polich. And they just do a wonderful job. So this is a true example of the Furman advantage getting to work on this professional podcast. So until next time, everybody, dream big.